Okay, welcome back. If you remember in video number 1, we got our data man walking in place. So we did our walk cycle, just a basic walk cycle in 24 frames. So from 1 to 25. You can see he's just walking in place. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually get data man to move across the screen, or a progressive walk. Okay, so we're going to start at frame 1. And we're going to select our character control reference right here, so that if you see the difference here, his body is selected, there the different points of the skeleton, and here are his control reference points. And that's really right down here. If you had a full rigged character, there might be a root. You would grab him by the root in that case. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and grab him by the control reference. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my grid back on, so we can see kind of where his feet are. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance from his lead foot. In this case, mine is the left foot. Yours might be the right foot, but whatever your lead foot is. And we're going to take a look at where we are. So here's 1, and then here's 13. There's the change, right? So 1 to 13. And if I zoom in onto his front foot, I'm going to go from 1 at the heel of his front foot. And what I like to do is kind of zoom in enough so I can see it. And then I'll pick a point down here in the screen somewhere where I kind of line that heel up. Right around number 11 works for me. Or maybe the D here inside. And what I want to do is now go to 13. And I'm going to bring this heel of my left foot to where it was before. So before it was right at the D, between the D and the E, right at number 11 down here. And I'm going to go ahead, and with the move tool selected, I can just push down on my middle mouse button, hold my shift button, push down the middle mouse button, and I can slide my character so that my heel is right there. And what I should have told you is that what we're trying to do is find what the translate is. So if I go ahead and go back, Control Z, grab my number 1 here. So right now, we're at 0 on my root. So my root is right here, 0. And when I move it, my translate Z will actually have a number come up into it. So let's do that again. I'm going to go ahead and hold my shift button, middle mouse button, slide it so that my foot, the heel of my, let's go ahead and go up to frame 13 and do that again. A little bit of practice, right? So now, there we go. We're lined up just about where we were before. So now you can see that my heel is right here, right above my number 11. So my left foot has moved, and my translate distance is 75. So negative 75.447. I'm going to write that down. Okay, so negative 75. I'm going to round it to just a nice even number. Since it's below 0.5, I'm just going to round it to negative 75. Okay, and that's the number I'm going to use. Okay, and then if I double it, that would be 150, right? So I want to use that number. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my 1. I'm going to Control Z everything, go back to 0. Okay, my data man should still be in the center point. And I didn't set any keyframes because we're not really going to use that for moving our character. That is a reference number that we're going to try to capture. All right, so now I am going to go ahead and start setting some keyframes. So I'm going to go to my root here. And since I already have my keyframe set down here for my root, any changes I make should go ahead and happen. So since at 75, at 13, at midway through my walk cycle, we are at negative 75. So now for my frame 25, that's twice the distance. So what I want to do is, with my COG, or the center point here around the hips, whatever your control point might be for your center of gravity. So basically I'm going to grab my character and I'm going to pull him. So kind of like this, right? I'm going to go ahead and up here in my translate Z, I'm going to add that number 150 to this number I have here. And it works out pretty well. So it's 151.971. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there. 151.971. Okay, and when I do that, the keyframe should be set, and you can see he's kind of flying off the ground now. And if I pull back, you can see how that happens. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to go to my translate Z. And you can see I have all these keyframes in between. So what happens is he'll be on the ground walking in his walk cycle, and then when we get to frame 22 to frame 25, he's going to start to fly off the ground. I want him to actually move the entire distance from frame 1 to 25. So I'm going to capture these keyframes on my translate Z in the middle. So everything here in the middle, and I'm going to delete those. And then I want this to be this one as well. So now what I end up with is this curve. Okay, so I have a keyframe on 1 and 25, nothing in between. And I want this to be a straight line because there should be no ease in, ease out, because Dataman is already walking. So right here, I can hit my linear tangent, and that'll straighten my line out. So now, if I ran my frame, he's slowly beginning to move across the screen before he flies off the ground. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fix his knee pulls first. And that's these little control points right here. So I'm going to grab one of them, and the translate Z should also be the same number. So I should add 150 to the left pull frame I have right there. You can see the little X. If I turn my grid off, you'll be able to see it better. Right here, this little kind of asterisk looking star thing right here by his knee. And then the other one is, I believe, right up here behind him. It's right there. Okay. Nope, actually there's one here and the other one is right there. There we go. So the two control points, there's one here, that's his left one, and then the right one is right here inside the square box. So what I want to do is add 150 to the translate Z there as well. So that would be 152.344. And then in the translate Z, do the same thing. I'm going to delete all of these keyframes. Delete those. In between, just leave 1 and 25, and again hit my linear tangent. And then I'm going to do the same for the other side. I'm going to select it, and it's 2.339. So that's going to be again 152.339. Put it in the right one. And we'll do the same thing with the translate Z in our graph editor. So this is in our graph editor. I'm going to delete all those, and again hit my linear tangent, straighten the line out. So now I'm done with the knee pulls, and I'm also done with the COG for pulling him across. But I need to get his feet back on the ground. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select his feet, and I'm going to go ahead and apply the same numbers to his feet, and we'll do a similar method. All right. Okay, and to get his feet on the ground, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to 1. So back to keyframe 1. And we're going to select his front control box for his front foot. In this case, it's my left leg. And for this data man, it's this ankle control right here. And we're going to take a look at what we have in Translate Z. We have 34.275. So what I want to do is I want to add my 150 to my 34.275, and that gives me 184. So now I'm going to go to 25, and in that same Translate Z box, I am going to type in 184.275 and hit enter, and you can see that puts his foot down on the ground. And if I compare it back to 1, it's in a similar position, right? Alright, so now I'm going to go back to 1 again, and this time I'm going to do it for my trailing foot, or in my case it's the right foot. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and see that I have in my Translate Z a negative number, so negative 40.644, and I am going to add that to my 150, or in this case I would subtract, so it's 150 minus my 40.644, and that gives me a number of 109.356. So I'm going to type in 109.356. Actually, I'm going to go to frame 25 first. Then I'm going to type in, get a little ahead of myself, so I'm going to type in 109.356. Okay? And that puts his foot back on the ground. Make sure you're in the right keyframe when you're doing these changes. Always good to double check yourself. Now if I compare my two positions, they're the same. Okay, same. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and change keyframe 13 because he's still flying off the ground. If we ran him through here, you'll see that he slowly starts to fly off the ground. And then he'll start to go back towards the ground, and 25 he's on the ground. So we want to fix that by going to frame 13 and doing a similar process. So actually we're going to now go back to keyframe 1, and we're going to take a look at our front foot. When you're walking, right, what we're doing is we're moving our right leg forward past our left leg. So in frame 1, this is how we look. In frame 13, this foot, his lead foot, will become planted and it'll actually be his trailing foot. So what we can do is use this same number right here that's in our Translate Z, the 34.275. So 34.275, and if this works correctly, I should be able to copy it and then go to frame 13 and now paste that into frame 13 and Control V and hit enter, and now you see his foot is on the ground. And for his other leg now, in this case his right leg, it will be planted in this position. So in this position it would be planted for our next step, so that would be frame 25. So we want to change this number to what frame 25's number is, and in this case it is the 109.356. So I can copy it, go back to frame 13 and paste it, and his foot should be planted. So now if I go between 1, 13, and 25, he should still be good to go. So now he's planted on the ground. And now if I actually run my timeline through here, you can see he's kind of bouncing up and down. We don't want that, right? So now what I'm going to do is, with one of the leg controls selected, I'm going to select Translate Z, and I am going to delete all of my in-betweens. So I want to delete everything from Let's see here. All of these here. And I'm going to delete these here. And you see I have this curve up, and then I have a flat line out to 25. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side now. Translate Z. I want to select that. There we go. And I'm going to select those in betweens. I'm going to delete those. So again, a flat line and a curve up. So now what should happen is my data man should walk in a progressive walk across the screen. All right. So that is a progressive walk, and now we have him walking across the screen. The next thing that we'll do in the next video is apply a infinite walk using the curve, again, the graph editor to modify our curves and make it so that data man walks across the screen. Okay, so that's all for this video, and I'll talk to you in the next video.